You mentioned before in one of your interviews that you have foundational values, but you didn't elaborate. So I'm curious, what are those?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've never actually listed them or articulated them, I would define values first of all as a set of things that you will not compromise upon. So foundational values to me are things that I've looked at very, very carefully about myself, and I've deliberately chosen and said, you know what, this is a habit, this is a way of life, and I'm not going to compromise on it. I'm going to stay this way forever. I just don't want to live life any other way. Now, I've never fully enumerated them, but examples of them, like I think honesty is a core value. Um, to give you examples of what I mean by honesty is I want to be able to just be me. I never want to be in an environment around people where I have to watch what I say, because if I disconnect what I'm thinking from what I'm saying, that creates multiple threads in my mind. That means that I'm no longer in the moment. That means that I now have to be future planning or past regretting every time I'm talking to somebody. So anyone around whom I can't be fully honest, I don't want to be around. Another example of foundational value is I don't believe in any short-term thinking or dealing. So if I see anybody who's even around me, like let's say I'm doing business with somebody and they think in a short-term manner with somebody else, then I don't want to do business with that person anymore, because I think all the benefits in life come from compound interest, whether in money or in relationships or love or health or activities or habits. So I only want to be around people that I know I'm going to be around with for the rest of my life. And I only want to work on things that I know have the long-term payout. Another one is like I only believe in pure relationships. I don't believe in hierarchical relationships. So I don't want to be above anybody, and I don't want to be below anybody. If I can't treat someone like a peer, and if they can't treat me like a peer, then I just don't want to interact with that human. Another one is I don't believe in anger anymore. I mean, that was something that was good when I was young and full of testosterone, but now I always like the Buddhist saying that anger is a hot coal that you hold in your hand while waiting to throw it at somebody.
Hmm.
So, I don't want to be angry, and I don't want to be around angry people. So I just cut them out of my life. And I'm not judging them. I mean, I went through a lot of anger too. And so, they have to work through it on their own, but go be angry at someone else somewhere else. So I don't know if that necessarily falls into the classical definition of values, but it's a set of things that I won't compromise on, and that I just live my entire life by. And I think everybody has values, and a lot of finding great relationships, great coworkers, great lovers, wives, husbands, is finding other people where your values just line up. And then the little things don't matter. Generally, I find that if people are fighting or quarreling about something, it's because their values don't line up.
Hmm.
Because if their values lined up, the little things wouldn't matter.
How is radical honesty? Like, how radical is your honesty, and how has that kind of impacted your life?
I mean, it's pretty honest. I'm not like I think Ray Dalio from Bridgewater is famously radically honest. So I'm not going to go and call somebody ugly to their face. Like, I'm not trying to make a big show of it. I'm not trying to say, hey, I'm so honest that I'm going to shock you. What radical honesty just means that I, I want to be free. Part of being free means that I can say what I think and think what I say. They're highly congruent and integrated. And it also means, Richard Feynman famously said, you should never ever fool anybody, and you are the easiest person to fool. So the moment you tell somebody else something that's not honest, you've lied to yourself, and then you'll start believing your own lie, and then that will disconnect you from reality and take you down the wrong road. So it's really important for me to be honest, but I don't go out of my way volunteering negative or nasty things. I would combine radical honesty with an old rule that Warren Buffett has, which is praise specifically, criticize generally. And I try to follow this. I don't always follow it, but I think I follow it enough that it made a difference in my life. Which is, if you have a criticism of someone, then don't criticize the person, criticize the general approach, or criticize kind of that class of activities. But if you have to praise somebody, then always try and find the person who's the best example of what you're praising, and then praise that person specifically. And that way, people's egos and identities, which we all have, don't work against you; they work for you.
Have your values changed at all, or have you given more thought to them since becoming married and becoming a parent? I mean, how has that changed you?
Yeah, values almost by definition don't change that much over time, but it takes some time for you to figure out your own foundational values. I think everybody has them. It's just that maybe we're not that aware of them until later. So mine have changed a little bit, but not a lot. I mean, my wife is an incredibly loving, family-oriented person, and so am I. And so that was one of the foundational values that brought us together. The moment you have a child, it's this really weird thing, but it answers the built-in meaning of life, purpose of life question. And all of a sudden, the most important thing in the universe moves from being in your body into moving into the child's body. So that changes you, and your values inherently become a lot less selfish. I would say that like probably the biggest such change was when I was younger. I really, really, really valued freedom. Freedom was one of my core values, and ironically, it still is. It's probably one of my top three values, but it's a different definition of freedom. My old definition was freedom to do anything I want, freedom to do whatever I feel like whenever I feel like. And now I would say that the freedom that I'm looking for is internal freedom. So it's freedom from. It's freedom from reaction. It's freedom from feeling angry. It's freedom from being sad. It's freedom from being forced to do things. But I'm looking for freedom from internally and externally, whereas before I was looking for freedom to.
I like that a lot.